Hi, everyone. Here is a short message from one of my favorite athletes in the world, Martina Navratilova. She needs no introduction, of course, but in case you're the one person on the planet who hasn't heard of Martina, Martina is a tennis player extraordinaire. She took women's tennis to a new level with her speed, determination, and agility. She won the Wimbledon women's singles title a record 9 times and has been described by many as the greatest singles, doubles, and mixed doubles player who's ever lived. Martina now spends her time between being at home and broadcasting as a presenter, commentator for the BBC, Tennis Channel, and Amazon Prime Video. She travels the world extensively and is being safe while she travels these days. And she does speaking engagements on a variety of issues and takes part in many charitable and company events as well. The reason I love Martina is she has broken so many barriers, not only in professional tennis, but in so many different areas. Welcome, Martina.
Thank you, Padma. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to chat with me today. So I know you're at the French Open tennis tournament at Roland Garros in Paris, France. So yeah, I'll let you tell us a little bit about what it's been like there for you this past week and going forward. Also, maybe you can talk a little bit about, do you feel the sport was different this year since it was moved back a few months due to the pandemic and the fact that there were few to no spectators? Did that affect any of the athletes' performance?
Well, of course, it's all different. US Open, when that happened, I only watched it on TV. I did work for Tennis Channel, but I did it from my home on Zoom, just like we're doing now. So it was actually a lot easier for me, but it looks strange, but you don't really feel it until you're there. And so now here at the French Open in Roland Garros, I can see just the atmosphere that the players have to deal with and have to create so much more of their own energy. Normally at a tournament, it's hard to get on the court because you have to go through the crowds or just getting to the courts and practice. It's always packed. Getting lunch, it's packed. You have to, work your way around people just to eat lunch. Now there's nobody there. But when you play the match, that you get crowd support. You get that energy from the crowd. Now it's the other way around. It's easy getting to the court because there's nobody here. But then that's the problem. You play the match, there is nobody there. So every match has the kind of feel to it, like when you are at a normal tournament and you're playing the last match on at night, at midnight, and everybody's gone home. And there's like 12 ushers in the stands and a couple people watching. That's what every match feels like now.
Wow.
When it doesn't matter what court you're on, they are allowing about 1,000 people a day to come in. So now that it was raining, everybody was on Philippe Chatrier court watching that match. So you get a little bit of an atmosphere, but overall you have to create that energy by yourself. So it's just a different kind of mentality and expectation and the way you go about it. It's all about tennis and it's all about here and here. Right, because there are no distractions.
Awesome. Well, speaking of being from here, October 10th is World Mental Health Day. I'd love to hear your thoughts on why mental wellness is as important as physical fitness.
Well, tennis is such a perfect example of that, in that you can be in the greatest physical shape, but if your mental wellness is not there, if you're not settled between the ears, when the seeds of doubt come in, it turns into a forest pretty soon. And you have to have those two working in sync, the physical, the emotional, and the mental, the three big elements of tennis, of course. And so it is in normal life. If one is lagging, then the other two have to pick up the slack, and sometimes they can't. So it's really important to find that balance in life. It's always a balancing act to get the physical fitness, whatever works for you, the functionality of being feeling well physically, of course, what you eat, etc., and then taking the time for yourself to take care of yourself, because we women particularly are always used to taking care of everybody else.
Yeah.
But you can't take care of anybody else if you don't take care of yourself first. So it's all a balancing act, whether you're an athlete or just an everyday person, whatever job you have or not. It's always about finding the perfect balance between emotional well-being, mental well-being, and physical well-being.
So speaking of that, did you ever feel in your career stress and anxiety, even when you were on the court fighting for one of your numerous titles? I mean, you were at the peak of your performance, you were very confident, but even then, did you feel stress?
Yeah.
And if so, what did you do to manage that?
Yeah, of course. When you first a rookie and you come on the tour, people always cracks me up when people say, "Oh, it's so easy for the youngs. It's so much pressure for the youngster." How, so much pressure. When you're young, you don't know what pressure means. It's when you get older, the pressure builds, and it's much more difficult to deal with it, I think, when you get older. Also, you know that you don't have that much time left, and you also know of all the things that could go wrong. But then you also have the tools to work with to fix it between the ears. But it's still, again, balancing act. For a couple of years, I was burned out because I was working so hard physically and mentally, playing tennis every day, just about, or working out. I took maybe one day off a year,
Wow.
which was probably overtraining. But then I finally, in 87, 88, I was burned out. I just didn't know it. And finally in 89, I figured it out, and took the time to kind of relax, took time for myself. It was okay. I gave myself permission to not play and not think, and just relax. And it took a week, literally. It took me a week to get back. And then I realized, I really love the sport. I want to play. And I played 5 more years, fresh as a daisy. But I didn't know it was okay to stop.
Yeah.
And it's so important to do that for ourselves, to realize, what, I'm really burned out for whatever reason. Sometimes it takes an hour, sometimes it takes a day, or do yoga. Take some small time for yourself, meditation, or just sit in a corner and just breathe. It doesn't take long to recenter and to kind of breathe out and find yourself, but we don't take the time for that. We really only relax when we get to bed and ready to fall asleep.
And
when you finally breathe out. So it's important to do that during the day and be aware of what's going on. And I did that, and it worked beautifully, but it wasn't easy to figure it out.
That's great. And I know you love to read. Does reading help you relax?
I don't read as much as I would like now. I listen to books. So in this day of crazy time and everything moving so fast, so many news items coming at you. Even when you're watching the news, there is the what they're talking about, then there's a little blurb underneath what the issue, they're talking about, the issue or what somebody said, and then underneath that you have another ticker of other news, and then on the side you may have the stock market numbers. I mean, it's crazy. It's overload, right? So reading a book or listening to a book, same thing. Actually, I love to read the book that's read by the author. Then you really feel the emotion and the voice. And so I've been listening to a lot of books. I'm about to finish Michelle Obama, and I'm also listening to Cast, which is I can only listen to a little bit at a time because it's so depressing and sad and infuriating. But I like to get lost but I do tend to read books that are biographies or historical. I like to learn rather than just pretend that it's something that happened.
Yeah, that's great. I think reading and listening is the same thing. It just allows you to go into a different world, improves your empathy and understanding. You put yourself in, the other person's perspective and their shoes. So have stories played a role, whether it's listening to books, you said biographies, have they inspired you and played a role in who you've become as a leader? I think of you more than as a tennis star, right? Of course, that's sort of like your on brand there, but I think of you more as a world global leader, someone who speaks up for women and women's empowerment. How have stories that you've read or listened to influenced you?
You never know how something's going to hit you and how long it's going to carry into your life, right? But being in Paris here, it's quite apropos that I read the biography of Maria Callas. Never saw her perform, but I read a couple books about her, and it was such a sad life that she had. She was so, speaking of being alone and not getting support, here's this mega superstar, and what she went through, and I just wish that she had some kind of a support system that could have helped her. So that really touched me on that front, and made me realize how important it is to have people around you that give you that give you the truth, but support you no matter what. The other biography I loved, and I actually got to meet the woman, was Katharine Hepburn, who was just phenomenal. I would come to her apartment in New York City, and she would start telling me a story, and then she would say, "Am I boring?" I'm like, "No." And told me some stories, and just again, you just absorb everything that she tells you. And then there's another story that I read, I think it was about what's his name, I have a blank now with his name. He was a science fiction writer. I'm gonna say Avery Brandage, but he was a similar name. I have a total blank of his name. But reading this science fiction story, I was about 10, 11 years old, and it was about how much we have evolved as humans. And now the competition, it was a story of this boy that was training for this competition of basically the Olympics. That was going to be a stadium of 50,000 people all strapped into this seat, basically in their head, doing a skiing run, right? But it's in their head. Because they don't have any arms and legs, because everything's done for you. So now you just live in your head. And it was fascinating, but it was so depressing. And now look where we are. Yeah. Everything's done for us, right? So many robotic improvements, but people are losing their self because they're lost in this fantasy land half the time. I mean, the screen time for kids now is off the charts, and we've lost that connection to the world and Mother Nature and the communication. We're texting to people that are sitting right there. It's like, it's driving me crazy. So technology is such a great thing, but it's just it has to be channeled the right way, just like anything else. Yeah. And anyway, but that story just really hit me. Obviously, I'm still talking about it 50 years later.
I have to research that book now. Sounds fascinating. I have to read that. Science fiction is my favorite.
Isaac Asimov. That was the right one.
Okay, definitely. Yeah. Okay, definitely. Well, thank you so much for your time. I don't want to keep you away from your schedule, but do you have any last minute messages you would like to share with everyone?
I just slow down. Slow down and always look at the positive. I've always been that person. I always am in the solution. So if there's a problem, okay, this is a problem, but don't keep saying I'm tired. What are you gonna do about it? So get in the solution. I need to get more sleep. I need to drink more water. Whatever it is, always get in the solution rather than feeling sorry for yourself. And saying, oh, this is so bad. Well, why is it bad? What can I do about it? So always get in the solution. That's my advice to people.
Awesome. Take control, slow down, breathe, get some rest, focus on what's between your ears. Exactly. Awesome messages, Martina. Lovely to see you again, and you be safe, and thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.